Next thing we'll talk about are the types of keywords. There's 3 types, and a few of them have, or one of them has a different name, but we've got broad match, phrase match, and exact match. I prefer to use phrase or exact match. Phrase match can also be called fully broad match modified. It can be called, what's the other one that I hear sometimes? It escapes me, but no big deal. I don't like broad terms unless I've got a very specific thing I'm trying to do. An example of that is I want to bid on my client's name. Now, I don't necessarily like to because it produces callbacks. So at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, when Mrs. Jones is trying to reach your company, they're going to search for your name on Google, and they're going to click on the first thing they see, and that's going to cost you some money. Now, I have some control over that. I'm not going to bid $200 a click on my client's company name, but I'll bid $6 or $8, and the only reason I want to bid on it is because I don't want his competition bidding on it. So if I see that cost increasing for that particular client's name, it means that someone else is bidding on that name. I want to own that name. So that's the only time really that I'll use a broad term completely. I'll jump over here to my keywords once I get into my campaign. Here we go. So here's an example of a few of the key phrases I use. You'll notice the little plus signs before words. That indicates a phrase match or a fully broad match modified. Essentially what the plus sign means is that Google will allow synonyms and words before and after that word. So you still have to be careful. Your phrase needs to be fairly specific. But if I just put in sewage removal with no plus sign, so it's a broad phrase at that point, Google will take great liberties with who gets to see your ad based on searches. An exact match will not allow words inside of that phrase. So the first term you see is sewage backup, right? A search like that would allow sewage backup Des Moines, Iowa, but it wouldn't allow sewage treatment for some phrase like that. So an exact match is going to lock down the phrase I'm bidding on. And the reason that's important is because keywords are great, but that's only half the battle. Negative keywords are far, far, far more important because that is going to eliminate totally frivolous clicks. For years and years, the third most searched term in the water damage world was water damage iPhone. Because a kid would drop their phone in the toilet, panic, go to Google, try to find a solution for how to saving their iPhone, and I am sure millions of dollars were spent by companies like yours on the term water damage iPhone. So either you should have bought one of those like Apple Fix store franchises, or you put a negative keyword in that includes the term iPhone. So I stick with broad match or fully broad match modified or phrase match and exact match only. I really try to stay away from broad terms. There are 18 phrases, broad phrases, that I will bid on if I'm in a very sparsely populated market. Inside of a major metro, there's way too much room for error, and all it's going to do is cost my client a lot of money, burn through his monthly budget too quickly, and I'm not going to show results. So limit your account using better key phrases. Okay, fourth thing, location targeting. So we're going to stay in the same account. I have plugged in my work zip code and my home zip code, and here we are in beautiful Idaho Falls. Come visit, it's really great. I like zip code, city, and neighborhood targeting if it's available. In the old days, and by the old days like 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago, we could target counties. I live in the county of Bonneville. It's here, I'll show you. So I pull my keyboard out. Oops. Bonneville County. So I could technically target all of that. This county itself only has about a population of somewhere in the ballpark of 110,000. I could target that. That's a little risky in my book. If my area had a population of 500,000, there is no way I would be targeting at the county level. So a couple things changed. First, Google Ads got hyper competitive. Everybody does Google Ads. If you're not doing Google Ads, you need to get out of 2004, right? So, or maybe 8, probably 2008. Everybody's doing it, so it's competitive. Google Ads is an auction. It's an auction that happens in microseconds. So everybody's doing it. There's far more competition, and spreading myself out this thin isn't going to give me the data I want, and chances are I'm going to pay more for the clicks that I'm trying to get. So in some cases, I'll use county targeting. I really don't like to. What I would rather do is get rid of this and then zoom in here. This is the zip code 83404. Let's say I just want to target a couple of these cities along I-15. So I can click here. I can show postal codes, because apparently Google's a Canadian company. Love you, Canada. And this will highlight postal codes around me, or zip codes around me. So I can just pick and choose, and then I can also exclude zip codes. So when I get a prospect calling me, I will ask them, give me the best and brightest zip codes in your market. What I mean by that is I like zip codes that have a higher than average median home price, and I like zip codes where the data shows us they have a higher than average median income. Those are the easiest areas to target. There don't tend to be a lot of no's in a market like that. But then I also ask for the very worst parts. So I don't want areas with a very high tenant population. These folks aren't decision makers. They are not going to be able to legally hire you, and I'll use my disclaimer of most states. I just avoid those areas. Around universities, it's very tricky because you've got tons and tons and tons of college tenants around those universities. You have to be very, very specific with how you target. But if I don't want to target an area, I just click it and I click exclude, and it shows up red in the maps. Target exclusions and target inclusions. You have to be really monitoring how you are targeting within your ad account. I have audited accounts personally where the company managing the ad account was targeting the United States for a home services company. That is crazy. Don't do that. Pick 15 miles around your office. Don't do this. You know, I'll ask, well, what's your service area? Well, I'll go anywhere. If the money's right, I'll go anywhere. I don't want a 4-hour radius or a 2-hour radius. How much work is in your backyard? A ton of it, and you're missing most of it. So let's start there, and if we see success, then let's open it up. And maybe we find through the data that you could use a second office 50 miles north of you. Those are really cool things that we can get from Google Ads because it gives us so much highly specific, almost creepy data. So location targeting. Do that. Now, in a case like this where I'm targeting right now about, let's say, 65,000 people, I may open that up and I may jump up. Let me zoom out a little bit. So I know this area, Island Park, it's a beautiful, everybody seems to have a cabin up there. It's a lake, you got mountains, you're right at the doorstep of Yellowstone National Park. This is a really good area with a lot of non-occupied second homes. So I might target Idaho Falls, and then I might target Island Park, but within its own campaign, ideally. So something to think about. Location targeting is absolutely crucial. Let's cancel this. Last thing I'll talk about is ad extensions. Now in this account, I'm not going to have a ton because it's a test account that I just created, but let me show you what I mean by that. So with an ad, here's what we could do. Here, I'll show you this. No, I won't show it to you there. So this is a typical ad. Okay, let's start there. So if I'm doing a Google search for sewage backup, Idaho Falls, I'm gonna see an ad that might look like this, right? So I've got 3 headlines and 2 lines of description text. Google does not show all of that. They pick 2 headlines and they pick 1 line of description text. But this is the bank of ad content I'm pulling from. But around this, I can add tons of extensions. The first absolute no-brainer is add a call extension and make sure it actually works. I can't tell you the number of times that I have either audited accounts or looked at a prospect's website and the phone number in the Google account or on the website was a bad phone number.